Ngohle masiphile.
Amen.
Ngomusa kaNkulunkulu.
Hallelujah. Sanibonani nonke enikhona ma participants.
Sawubona ma, ninjani?
Siyaphila.
Good afternoon.
Yebo.
Afternoon.
I'm sure you had a nice birthday yesterday, Sister Togo.
Yes, thank you for best wishes. That was nice. Namhlanje ngiyakhasa ne.
Kubuhleli nami la ile ngabe ngikwenzela ibisi ibhodlela yabona.
Uzalwa izolo namhlanje uyakhasa.
Yeah, imagic. Melinting awushongo ukuthi uza lapho namhlanje. Yabona ngibhedisa ngabe ngilapho. Ey Nkosi yami. Ey.
Singabe ngikutsheli.
Abuyangifunza idanone khona manje.
Yazi.
Can we start?
Honorable Chair, are we able to give at least 5 minutes more?
Okay.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Die hondjies, was so goed. What's us?
Can we start?
Let's wait for it to indicate. Will indicate.
Just 2 minutes more, Chair, if I may.
I'm waiting for the signal from Dina.
Yes, ma'am, we may continue. Thank you. Chair, I think you are muted. We have seemed to have lost Honorable Ngube. I'm sure she will reconnect.
I'm here.
All right, thanks, ma'am.
So can I start?
Yes, you may, Chair.
Okay. Good afternoon, Sanbanani, in this program.
Afternoon.
All the viewers, the guests, honorable members, and staff. I hope everybody is having a program. The first thing will be the meditation and silent and moment of silence to reflect on the grief and loss experienced during COVID-19. And we're going to be led by GPL Service Officer Pasha Fezega.
Good afternoon, members, the Honorable Speaker, the guest, the women of South Africa, the women of the nation, and the women of Africa. Thank you so much. As we know, we are facing this pandemic for everybody. So we plead to God today to help us as we are lost their loved one. Can we stand up for this moment of silence, please? May their souls rest in peace. Thank you so much. Can we close our eyes? Can we close our eyes and pray? Father, Lord, we are coming before your faith in humbleness, my Father, because now we are in a situation that we feel ourselves in between. Maybe we lost you, my Father. Help us. Here are your people. Here are the women of Africa and the nation. They need your help. Maybe we promote our pride and we drop your word. We forget who are you. This is the only thing now that we must do, to seek your will, to seek your word, to seek your face. Siyacela Baba, kuzo zonke izinto esesizibonile. Nabo mama besizwe, day by day, bohlukana nemiphefumulo yabo. Siva namalanga ezithivini kunomuntu wesifazane ohambayo. Kanye ngesi sikhathi sithi sibhiyozela yona lenyanga. Kodwa ukuphumula kwethu akukho emhlabeni. Siyakucela uNkulunkulu wethu onamandla. Siyakucela ube nathi ngaso sonke isikhathi usifihle phansi kwamaphiko wakho ngoba siyazi ukuthi unguNkulunkulu ongakhathali ngathi. Noma sesibona izinto ezweni lethu zingahambi kakuhle, kodwa siyazi ukuthi unguThixo wethu wena ongasoza siyekele. Ezimene ezinzima omama bethu bakhala kuwe, badinga usizo uNkulunkulu oyingcwele. Siyacela nangesi sikhathi njengoba wawenzile kubantu base-Israyeli, wathuma uMoses, wathi Moses, ndisivile isikhalo sabantwana bami, ndehlile ngizokubahlangula. Nathi siyakucela Somandla, sithi yehla uzokusihlangula uNkulunkulu oyingcwele. Kuthi nekhabhinethi mayihleli uNkulunkulu ifuna indlela yokuphuma kulolu talagwe esingene kulo, uyinikeze amandla, uyinikeze umqondo, ubaphathise abantwana bakho uNkulunkulu. Kuthi noba izinto ziyasinda, kubonakala ingathi ayikho impendulo evela emazulwini, kodwa wena Thixo wethu uzokuvela. Siyakucela uNkulunkulu wethu onamandla, yiba nathi ngesi sikhathi naxa bezawubamba le program uNkulunkulu oyingcwele. Ndicela ukuthi wehlise umoya wakho oyingcwele, ukuthi izinto abazothetha phezu kwazo uNkulunkulu wethu nawe ube khona uNkulunkulu, basize, ubanikeze amandla asezulwini uNkulunkulu, ubanikeze ukomelela endleleni, ngoba kuyabonakala ukuthi khona ukudinwa esikufumanayo masihamba kule ndlela inde yasezulwini. Siyakucela Somandla, banikeze amandla ngale mini yanamhlanje kuzo zonke izinto abazokuthetha phansi kwazo uNkulunkulu oyingcwele. Ubanikeze ukubonisana uNkulunkulu, ukuze nathi sikhule, kuthi naxa bephuma uNkulunkulu kulo mhlangano bayofika kwindawo abahlala kuzo bephephile. Enkosi enamandla wonke, siyabonga uNkulunkulu wethu oyingcwele. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Siyabonga kakhulu, Pastor. Can we have the opening and welcome, which is going to be done by our chairperson of the Women's Parliamentary Caucus, Honorable Thoko Makakula. Would request that everybody that is speaking to us, let us see her face. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'm using my phone, so if I show my face, you won't hear me, or it will mute itself. That's how this gadget has been programmed. I'm sorry about that. Greetings to all honorable members present here, women from all walks of Gauteng, our support staff present on the platform. It's another year celebration. It's another Women's Month under the new normal environment, which is not normal. We are gathered under the basis that women are usually brought together by common issues, irrespective of race, position, nor political affiliations. Today marks 65 years of the 1956 National Women's March to the Union Building. Our women, our forebearers who fought for us, that today we observe August as a month for women to celebrate the achievements. As much as many of our achievements we have gained, and some of them we're still working towards them, it's because we are women. And that's what brought us together, that for everything which we need to achieve, we have to fight. Even if it's a policy, or even if it's regulated by government or by which structure, but we have to fight for those achievements to be implemented as women. So I think women of today, we need to come together and fight for the total emancipation of women. We can't, as women, when we have policy that women should hold higher positions, but we still suffer in terms of the implementation. Even in where we're supposed to be, those men or some of those men will use our women to pull down other women, not to climb the ladder. So I think it's about time that we need to fight so that we can leave legacy for our coming generation. Today, we occupy leadership positions. We work in fields which were once male-dominated. We can grow careers and have families, etc. But we still have a long way to go in realizing equal opportunities between women and men. This is because women still occupy mainly middle management positions. Some industries still make it very difficult for women to access those positions. What we're given is that we must continue being a caring nation. As women, we still face gender stereotypes that hold us back from realizing our full potential. Conditions that make it difficult for us to thrive and just be. We will talk about those experiences today, and we will share we commemorate Women's Month one under very difficult times of COVID-19 pandemic. The virtual world has enabled us to interact even though we are physically far apart. We have lost some of our own within the GPL and some of our own loved ones as families. However, we often don't talk about some of us who still suffer the effects of long COVID-19 and the impact it has had on our lives. COVID-19 and lockdowns has worsened our daily experiences of gender-based violence, trying to make ends meet in supporting our families and as breadwinners at homes. Let us come together to listen to the different experts and leaders on a few topics. I encourage you, members, to interact and share your points of yours together and come together so that we can have a common decision. I hope you will enjoy this session and make it an experience and a learning curve for our future. I thank you, members. Thank you, Chairperson. I therefore welcome you all to this session. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Honorable Makakula. It's true, we call this year as the year of Charlotte Natleke, and honoring also this month the struggles of the women, which must not just pass or be there in vain. We are fighting battles that nobody knows, and we then have no support systems in terms of how to raise these issues or where to get support. We've just noted the gruesome deaths that have just happened almost a day after day. And it's as if when it is Women's Month, they ensure that they do the worst that has ever happened in the world or in the country. We have lost one of our own at Duduza. We've lost another student, finally a student fought in East London and other places. Now the question is, for how long? Because what is a challenge is that it is people that we trust. It is the people that purport to be our partners. They love us, but inside they would end up being killers of ourselves when we give them love. So the big question is that, what more should we do? Legislations are there, prisons are there, but it's as if they are competing amongst each other. Thanks very much. I'm going to call Honorable Nkosi Malubane, the Chair of Chairs, and to reflect and reconnect as women across political spectrum at all levels of our hierarchy. Honorable Nkosi, the platform is yours.
No, thank you very much, Honorable. Let me remove my group. Thank you very much, Honorable Nguba, for the opportunity you gave me to address our internal internal stakeholders. Internal stakeholders. I'm actually grateful that I've been given this opportunity to engage in this important gathering. But let me recognize the Speaker of the Legislature, Mentombi Mikwe, recognize the Deputy Speaker, the Deputy Chief Whip of the governing party in the Gauteng government. Also recognize all senior management team from the legislature administration. Chair, it gives me great pleasure to address this important activity, as I've already indicated, of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature. As a woman myself, I'm pleased that GPL continuously raises the voice of women, and today we are looking internally and having conversation with the exceptional women that make team GPL. However, before going any further, each one of have been impacted in some way or another by the devastating effects of COVID-19 pandemic. This virus has unfortunately become a household name in our homes over the last 2 years. Each one of us have either buried a loved one or at the very least knows somebody who has buried a loved one. Many of us were ill ourselves, whilst others are still battling with the virus. Let me then offer heartfelt condolences to the family, friends, and loved ones of those departed, and we wish speedy recovery and a return of full health to all those not well. Ma'am Pinky, allow me to also offer warm congratulations to the newly elected Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Nosiviwe Mapisa Ngakula, and all other women who were appointed into senior government position as ministers and deputy ministers. Mayor Ngakula, who has hit the ground running and has promised to protect the integrated decorum of Parliament, which is very important. That when we as women go or accept to be deployed in these positions, we really need to make sure that it doesn't deteriorate. Instead, it actually the standard goes. She is yet another exceptional woman, and these other ones who have been appointed in these positions. The capacitation and showcasing of women and their achievement has and will continue to be a focus in all our strategies, plans, and activities. Going back to COVID-19, this COVID-19 pandemic has created much more than a medical state of disaster. It has also created huge emotional and psychosocial strain on each one of us. As the collective leadership of GPL, we have therefore noted these challenges as well as the importance of reconnecting with our members, our members, staff, stakeholders, and Gauteng at large. My apologies a little bit. Sorry, Pa. Thank you, Pa. My apologies. There was a noise at the background. Over and above the achievement of tasks, we also have to focus on the health and well-being of those that carry out such tasks, because without checking on each other, without asking about our families, without compassion and caring, without connecting with each other, we are nothing more than mere robots. This being the month of August is also an opportune time for GPL to celebrate all our mothers, the wives, sisters, daughters across the racial, social, and age borders through innovative and interactive programs. This is to show and to prove that we do care and we are indeed compassionate. While we have many other innovative campaigns such as the Vita Basadi and other similar programs where we celebrate phenomenal women from within GPL and externally who ceaselessly dedicate themselves in helping their communities through different projects and initiatives, we still use every opportunity to do more. Today, however, our focus is on our internal stakeholders. Sorry, Pa. Who is up there, locos? Oh, whilst we have many other innovative campaigns such as Vita, Basadi, and other similar programs where we celebrate phenomenal women from within GPL and externally who ceaselessly dedicate themselves in helping their communities through different project initiatives. We will we still use every opportunity to do more. Today, however, our focus is on our internal stakeholders, because we also have the duty to ensure that amidst the COVID-19 outbreak and beyond, we do not lose sight of the remarkable women who contribute to GPL success on a daily basis. Our GPL family is comprised of many women who play pivotal roles in the position and responsibility they are entrusted with. It is to this effect and against this background that we celebrate GPL women and warrant that their loyalty, role, and contribution in ensuring that the business of the GPL continues with excellence and distinctions. This internal focus on the women that make up Team GPL has already kicked off and included various activities through internal crafted messages and sentimental gratuity campaigns. Our focus on women looks beyond hierarchies, ranks, and political affiliations. It is simply aimed at reminding women of their value in the society where women are encouraged to continuously cement their role in their society without fear of intimidation, but absolute confidence and assertiveness. In celebrating our women, we also highlight the scourge of gender-based violence, which May Pinky have already spoken about. It looks like almost every August, we need to count bodies, and it looks like it is deliberate. We've seen our young women who belongs to the LGBTI community being attacked and killed by these senseless people who don't hesitate to attack in terms of rape and kill women. And I think it is time that as legislators, we need to stop the rhetoric and come up with action to deal with this particular scourge. My sisters, please remember you're not alone, particularly those who are experiencing gender-based violence, and your voice is not lost. If you're having such issues at home, domestically, or even in the workplace, please speak out. We have a well-established employee assistance program which provides confidential assistance, counseling, and advice aimed at helping you navigate through your troubled waters. Our HR employee retention and engagement process, bursary policy, as well as harassment policy, and constantly revised to ensure equality and equity in the workplace, and that all our staff members, especially women, are empowered and protected and their legitimate interests furthered. However, despite the work already done and what is planned, much more still needs to be done to promote gender equity in the workplace as well as in societal cycles. Much more needs to be done in celebrating the inspiring and courageous work that women of GPL and around the world are doing to secure women's rights and shape more tolerant and equitable societies. We also reflect on the work that remains and remember the many women whose voices go unheard and who continue to be excluded from realizing their full potential. Ours is to do all that we can do to unlock that potential and make our women shine as the true stars that they are. Sessions such as this are therefore critically important to promote the achievements made by women and acknowledge the progress that has been made so far. But it is also significant opportunity to reflect on what still needs to be accomplished to achieve full gender equality. Patriarchy must fall. Thus, let us remain connected, and where we are, we may have lost touch. Now is the time to reconnect as women across the potential lines of and levels of hierarchy. Let us sustain strong and sustainable partnership with our fellow sisters because we grow by helping each other grow. Let us remember that coming together is a beginning, keeping together is progress, working together is definitely a success. With those words, Honorable Pinky, I hope you have taken inspiration and committed to connecting and indeed reconnecting with our women, irrespective of hierarchies or political lines. I'm also confident that you will find the forthcoming conversations and discussions today equally interesting and inspiring. Finally, allow me to conclude with the words of Mark Antony in The Beautiful Truth. I quote, "And one day she discovered that she was fierce and strong and full of fire, and that not even she could hold herself back because her passion burned brighter than her fears." Close quote. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Ngiyabonga ma.
Thank you very much, Honorable Malubane, with the words that are touching us and that are talking to us in terms of us continuing to fight and change this world, difficult as it is, but we need each other. You say others will say everyone that we meet is fighting his or her own battle. So be gentle and let's give ourselves support. When we greet each other, it's normal that when you ask me, how are you? And I'll respond by saying, I'm okay, whereas I'm dying inside. And I'll wear the smile that you will think I'm happy, but inside I'm dying. Let's reflect. I would take two hands just to reflect on what the Honorable Makakula and also Honorable Nkosi Malubane has said. Am I seeing hands? Let's reflect as women. I don't see any hand. Any
Sorry,
person
Honorable.
Okay.
I can see Sbusiso's Bilagazi's hand.
Okay, Sbusiso.
Thank you, Chair Honorable Ncube. Thank you for the opening remarks, Memakakula, and thank you, Chair of Chairs, for your words of encouragement. I'd like to thank the speaker as well as the leadership of the GPL for coming up with this idea to have a platform as women to share and to reflect on our challenges. I'd like to draw some attention to some of the kind words that the Chair of Chairs has alluded to. The fact that we need to be inclusive in including members of the LGBTI group, more importantly, our transgender women. It is time that society and our legislative sectors accept and include these people as women and nothing else. They go through the same struggles, if not more struggles than what our women are facing. And it is true what the Chair of Chairs has said, in that these transgender women experience more abuse from firstly their families, to society, and to their partners who end up killing them. I thank the Chair of Chairs for sharing those sentiments with us as members of the LGBTI group. And it is time that we demolish this hierarchy of seeing transgender women in this case as less hierarchy, as on a lower level in the hierarchy as women. We need to accept them for who they are, and we need to include them as society. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Any other hand? The last one. You will shout because I don't see anything.
There is no hand movement, Chair.
No hand. Okay. We then are continuing. You will find others saying, or they vow and decree that they won't be victims of circumstances, meaning that even if Gashisa, but by praying and by mingling with other people that you trust, that when you share something that is bothering you inside or eating you inside, you won't, they won't laugh at you, or you will be a person that they're gossiping about you. The next one is, just a minute. The next one is a story had to be told, a testimony on surviving depression. We are going to get that testimony from Dr. Daisy Susana, a Vita Awards winner of 2020. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and good afternoon to all the beautiful women that are in this platform. Honorable members, I am really privileged to be on this platform this afternoon. I am Dr. Daisy Susana from Hammanskraal. I grew up in a village called Ramotsi. I'm an author of 2 books. The first one is called How Short Life Can Be. And the one that I'm going to talk about, it's called The Pain I Can't Explain. I grew up in a village where when an uncle touches a young girl, no one says anything about it. And it's seen as an uncle is playing with a child. And because of that, I experienced rape at a very young age. And as I was growing up, because I was the only girl at home, my brothers had a lot of friends, and I was also sexually abused by their friends, unaware of what was happening because I was still very young. At the age of 17 in grade 11, one of my uncles broke my virginity. And because I grew up without a father, I was not sure how to relate with men because I just knew my brothers.
Just a minute.
Yes.
Is it possible for you just to show the face?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. There's man, I don't have weave.
I'm trying to turn it on. Okay. The camera is failing me.
Because others will say, you just
Can I continue while it's trying to connect?
Okay. So this is a real person, not just a story.
I'm in a village where the network is very bad. Okay.
You can leave the video and continue. Or maybe shift on for the network purposes, wherever you are, to a better place.
We seem to have lost Dr. Susana.
Dr. Thinta abafazi. Thank you, you're back. Mute. Mute so that we hear you. Mute, we don't hear you. Mute, press there, mute. Asiguzwa, Doctor, mute. Doctor Asiguzwa, mute. Or we've seen your face, you can go back then, maybe. Yeah, thanks. Then you can continue, then we did not hear. Still don't hear you, Doctor. Hello?
It seems as though, Chair, she's disconnected from the meeting. Maybe she'll come in. She's there now.
Doctor? Is she back in the meeting?
I can see her in the meeting, but she remains mute. She just needs to unmute.
Doctor? We've lost you.
Dineo, did we lose connection there?
I can see her in the meeting, but there's no sound coming from her side.
Maybe you should give her a call, Dineo, just on her cell phone, just so that you make her aware.
All right, Kazi, kindly assist.
Can we continue and have working woman and have Honorable Randall when she's back at the meeting, maybe after Honorable Randall, then we'll go back to the doctor. Honorable Randall will then take us to the working woman. As a working woman, it is okay not to be okay. Let's hear, what is it that God told you to tell us?
Thank you so much, Honourable Chairperson, Madam Speaker, and the rest of the honoured members of this Multi-party Women's Caucus today. It is indeed an honour for me to address you during this month of August, our month, Women's Month. And I want to start my conversation today by quoting the lyrics from a song by a group called Marshmallow and Demi Lovato. And the song is titled, It's Okay Not to Be Okay. So I would recommend you go to YouTube and go and listen to this song. Feeling like a drop in the ocean that don't nobody notice. Maybe it's all just in your head. feeling like you're trapped in your own skin and now your own body's frozen, broken down, you've got nothing left, feeling like your life's an illusion and lately you're secluded, thinking you'll never get your chance, feeling like you got no solution. It's only because you are a human. No control. It's out of your hands. So when you're high on emotion and you're losing your focus and you feel too exhausted to pray, don't get lost in the moment or give up. When you're closest, all you need is somebody to say, it's okay not to be okay. So today I want to say here's to all the women who are dedicated to create, to laugh, to cry, to heal and thrive through love. Thank you for your courage. Women are always being tested, but ultimately each of us has to define who we are individually and then do the very best job we can grow into it. This is said by Hillary Clinton. Now, according to me, and I'm sure according to you, the future is female, and being challenged in life is inevitable, but being defeated is only optional. In the South African workforce, gender equality and women's empowerment is the prime focus, but still the gender gap is still immense. Old-fashioned stereotypes and underrepresentation continue to be a major challenge for many women. Last March, we entered a national lockdown for 3 weeks, 1.5 years later, and no one could have predicted the huge impact that 2020 and beyond would have had worldwide. From office workers to school children, everyone has had to learn a new way of working, living, and learning. And for parents, this has created a fresh struggle of juggling family life with our working full-time lives. Now, more likely to bear the brunt of childcare responsibilities are our working women. Therefore, the past 1.5 years has had an especially huge impact on the mental health of many women around our country and here in our province and here amongst our female colleagues. And again, I want to say it's okay not to be okay. The pandemic increased work pressure, particularly for women. The pandemic has had a disproportionate impact on our women who have had to bear the brunt of extra childcare and lost jobs in greater number than men. Listen again. We've lost jobs in greater numbers than men. Indeed, according to international institutions, including the UN and the World Economic Forum, the pandemic could set women's economic progress back for half a century. This is scary. So, and again, I want to say it's okay not to be okay, especially for our single mothers during lockdown. All your mental pressure, education provision, keeping up with work was placed solely on your shoulders. We are also reminded that globally, women represent 70% of the health and social sector workforce, and that on average, women do 3 times as much unpaid care and domestic work as men. This has long-term consequences for the economic security and overall well-being. So again, it's okay not to be okay. But going forward, without the pressure of homeschooling, remote working could definitely provide that additional flexibility and improve your work-related communications. However, as work make up most of the lot of our women's social interactions, there is the risk that a complete shift towards remote working may actually increase our isolation from each other, which could also be quite detrimental to a work life. So in the return to the new normal, businesses must definitely ensure that they don't let the past 1.5 years damage gender equality. As the pandemic recedes, they have the opportunity to learn from the challenges they face during this time and embrace diversity and creativity moving forward. Now, I also want to spend today some time and motivate all of our women by introducing 5 inspirational South African female leaders that have showed us that nothing is impossible if you choose to take up the opportunities and the challenges that life presents to you. My first nominee is Phuthi Manyele-Dabengwa, the CEO of Naspers, South African business. My second leader, Ntombozuko Motlong, she heads Cisco's Networking Academy in South Africa. And ladies, she overcame abject poverty to focus on and pursue an education followed by a career in IT. Number 3 is Aisha Pandor. She's the co-founder and CEO of Sweep South, and Africa's first online end-to-end platform for booking, managing and paying for home cleaning services. Number 4, Nonkululeko Nyembezi, the JSC, Johannesburg Stock Exchange chairperson, to become the first woman to chair the board of Alexander Forbes in the firm's 82 years history. And my last female leader who needs a shout out is Tabiso Motlape, founder and CEO of Blackbird Books. So again, I want to tell you today that it's okay not to be okay. You're only human. But now how do we get out of this deep, dark hole of not being okay? And if we look at Romans 16 in the Holy Bible, verses 1 to 13, it's there where the Lord says, women are the examples of generous patrons, selfless service, and spiritual mothering. So women work really, really hard, do amazingly good jobs, excel in every single way and area that you can, with the self-forgetful happiness that can be found only when you've laid yourself down and you are trusting in the name of a tireless, serving Savior. Thank you so much, Chairperson and Speaker, for this wonderful opportunity to be part of this event today. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Do we have a Dr. Beck?
Yes, we do, Chair.
Okay, can she come in and then we'll have a reflection for both after she's finished. Doctor, did you encounter a problem?
It shows mute on her side, Chair. Perhaps Dr. Sesana, if you can unmute.
Okay, while she's still struggling, can we have just two people that can breathe on what Honorable Randa has said? Any hand? Just to reflect and digest what Honorable Randa said. I don't see the hand, you can shout. None. Okay, can we continue and get being financially sound, a presentation that you'll get from Mr. Nigo Baloi, the GPL budget officer. Are you here with us? Let's see your face first.
Yes, Chairperson, I'm here. Good afternoon, Chairperson, Madam Speaker, honorable members of the MPWC, colleagues, and as well as guests. Thank you for the opportunity to present on this topic of being financially sound. I hope this presentation is informative and that that one or two nuggets will resonate with you and that you may be able to apply this in your lives. Since I'm using my 3G, please allow me to turn off my video while I do the presentation. The topics of interest that I will be covering are prioritizing what is important, black tax, budgeting, as well as not all debt is bad. The first point on being financially sound is identifying what are your priorities. There are various priorities that we have depending on where we are in our lives. What is a priority in your 20s is different on what you prioritize in your 30s and your 40s. An example of a priority is that of owning a home. What you need when you're prioritizing owning a home, you need to think about what do I need in order to start the process of owning a home. One thing is that you should have a deposit, as well as money saved up for transfer costs, as well as enough money to buy your basic furniture. So I know with my case, when I purchased my home, I ensured that I had enough money to purchase fridge, microwave, washing machine, a bed, as well at least like a TV and one couch. So at least I have something to sit on. So that's something that you need to look at when you're prioritizing owning a home. Another priority may be traveling. And if you're prioritizing this, you need to look at to say, okay, what do I need to save in order for me to travel? So that will be your deposits for flights, your accommodation, your transfers. And you also need to investigate to say, okay, how much will I need to spend if I'm traveling to these different countries? So that is just an example of the priorities that one may have and then needing to plan for those. Many of us have responsibilities outside our personal goals. This could be, for an example, taking care of family members. Many of us term this as black tax, but however, it's not limited to just the black race. Other people in other races also have responsibilities outside of their personal goals. One of the most important things when we actually support our family is to ensure that we do not overextend ourselves, as overextending ourselves has emotional as well as mental impact on us, which can then cause feelings of resentment towards our families. We need then to be very honest on what and how we can assist and factor in this into our monthly budgets. I mean, so it's not always black tax in terms of supporting a family. Some people actually prioritize to say, I do want to purchase a home for my family or for my mother, but that will fall under you prioritizing that and actually planning for it. Developing a budget, I'm just going to talk about budgeting right now. Developing a budget allows us to be honest about our finances. We need to look at what is our salary, what is our income, what are our expenses, and what do we have left over after taking those into consideration. Then we need to determine how we're going to attain those goals that we prioritized. We do this by then utilizing tools that are available. There's an Excel spreadsheet that one can use to draft a budget, as well as other templates that are available on the internet. There is a spreadsheet example that I will show in my next slide. which I personally use, and it was given to me by a friend when I first started in my career. The template allows us to break down our expenses because it is easy to set up a budget. However, to stick to it is not as easy, and we end up falling into financial difficulties. Recording our spending allows us to then rectify any deviations we may have made. And setting up financial goals helps us in prioritizing what is important and to also identify what luxuries that we can cut until we achieve our set financial goals. If we do not plan for our money, we will not reach or achieve the financial goals we have set for ourselves. It is important for us to practice financial discipline. So this is an example of a spreadsheet that I personally use, which breaks down all my monthly responsibilities. So not all of those items actually pertain to me, but this is an example where you list to say, this is what my income is, and this is my my projected income and what I actually get paid. And then you'll indicate your costs if you have a house. What are the related costs in terms of housing, your transportation, issues of insurance, issues of groceries. And another item that I think most of us actually miss out on when we're doing our budget is issues of bank charges, as well as the transaction costs that we incur if we are, for instance, making an immediate payment or when we're making deposit at the ATM. There are transaction costs associated with that. So what I was indicating to say the most important step is to actually look at the records of our spending, which you can use your bank statement. And then on this template, you can say, okay, for my phone, this is what I projected. However, this is what I actually spent. And then you can then see what are your differences and where you're deviating. And then you can then rectify it maybe in the next month. And just talking now about not all debt is bad. Spending money on a house, for instance, or an investment is not a bad debt. Some of us do take debt in order for us to receive an income. For instance, if you are appointed as a consultant and you're required to be traveling across Gauteng, taking a debt in terms of purchasing a car, that is not a bad debt. That is a necessary debt for you in order to be working. When we take out debt, one needs to look at whether we can afford the minimum installments to meet our obligations. Some of us are not able to meet those minimum installments, and then we overcommit ourselves and then go into further debt. If you're already overly indebted, one can consider debt consolidation as the interest rates and payment terms may be better than, for instance, a credit card. It is important that we do not wait until we're overwhelmed before we seek help. So we should try and seek help if you're overly indebted very early on and not wait when now you have the threat of losing your house or losing your car. Especially now with the COVID-19, the impact of that, most of us find ourselves not being able to make our payments. At the legislature, we're still lucky that we're still receiving our salary. However, there are people who have had their salaries reduced or have lost their jobs, so they find themselves in this situation. So we should not wait until it's too late. We need to seek help as soon as possible. And in conclusion, I'd like to indicate that we should not be hard on ourselves when we stumble, but focus on improving and doing better in the next month. And we should not feel guilty to reward ourselves when we have reached the goals that we've set for ourselves. As women, we need to break the generational curse of being everything to everyone except something to ourselves. We should never neglect ourselves. And being financially sound is a long-term goal and not a short-term one. and need to be patient with ourselves. I would like to leave you with this quote from Maya Angelou: hoping for the best, prepared for the worst, and unsurprised by anything in between. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see a hand of Dineo. The doctor back.
Thank you, Chair. I thought perhaps let me go so that you know.
I see your hand.
Yes, can you hear me, Chair? Can others hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Yes, no, we can hear you.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay, great. All right. Thank you so much. I thought perhaps I should go so that, you know, we just to remind colleagues as well that, you know, this is an interactive.
I hear you.
Yes, Chair. It's an interactive platform, and you know, we're trying to break the barrier between, you know, MPLs as well as, you know, administration that supports MPLs, and I know the virtual platform is also adds another barrier because we can't really see each other, but also we're struggling with connectivity and so forth. So, you know, it's not an easy thing to break, but just a reminder that, you know, we're here to interact together. So I just wanted to comment on this issue that was presented by Honorable Randall, and the idea of strength and how, you know, as women, we're expected to be able to handle everything. There's a picture that we like to share, especially during Women's Month. I really don't like that picture. You know, it has a woman who's carrying a child, who's cleaning at the same time, and the other hand is taking care of your partner or husband. You know, the other one is your foot is cleaning the floor, and it's a typical thing that we expect women to be able to do, to just be able to handle everything in life. You know, yourself.
Can you try to switch off the video and?
Okay. I have, Chair. Yeah, I think it adds to the connectivity challenges, but I was just saying that, you know, that picture just perpetuates or, you know, increases, you know, what we already are expected to be as women. And oftentimes—
Switch off your video.
I
Maybe
think
your network would be better.
Okay. I think Honorable Chair might be having connectivity challenges as well. But, you know, yeah, that picture represents what's expected of us. And oftentimes it's difficult for us as women to come forward and say, you know what, I actually can't handle things because I am carrying too much. And we should really not trap ourselves in that expectation of multitasking everything in life. You know, we're not superwomen. The idea of being superwomen and being able to work and do all other things, we need to be able to break that cycle. And then on the presentation by Deniko, you spoke about seeking help, you know, when you are in debt or over indebted. And, you know, there are several people who advertise themselves and debt collectors and so forth, but hey, oftentimes when you consult with these people, they get you into more further debt. So I don't know if you're able to share, you know, relevant institutions or contacts that will really truly assist and not just further entrap us into, you know, being in more debt. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Notile. Then we'll be followed by Sbusiso.
And Dombi.
Okay, speaker. Notile, is your hand up?
No, Chair, my hand is not up. Thank you.
Okay, Sbusiso.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with what Dineo has said. You know, there's a saying, I believe in Sepedi, it says, Mosadi utshwara thipa ka bogaleng. For how long will that woman hold that sharp knife? Do they need to hold that sharp knife until they die? I think it's time that we make women understand that it's okay not to be okay, as Mema Randall has alluded to. In terms of the presentation from the budget officer, we need to understand that most of the times the debts that women have is the debt of children's school fees, the debt of taking care of your parents, the debt of taking care of your in-laws, the debt of taking care of your siblings, to such a point whereby it's too much for one to handle. I'd like to ask, what are the avenues or investment avenues that a single woman, or that a woman who's the breadwinner can take in order to ease this debt? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Chair. As if Sibusiso read my mind, I wanted to ask a question as to for how long this black tax is going to go on. Because in the words or in the slogan that says, you strike a woman, you strike a rock, we are expected to do even beyond our means. We get into debt because we look after our families, and for us really, because we happen to be leadership. Even in the workplace, you'll find that some of the employees who also faces a debt because of others, they will come to you, borrow money, and they will want you to understand that they learn not like you, but at the same time, they overspend on their budget, while we also overspend ourselves, because as political leadership, where we live, we're also expected to, when I say family, it's not only your biological, it's a family in terms of the community, those that come from local government. Honorable Refilwe Kekane, Honorable Caesar, you'll also know that being a councillor, when there's someone who has passed on in your ward, there will be that expectation that you must come and bury that person. And at times they don't even have the means to bury themselves, while others they might have, but the expectations, because you assisted somebody else, therefore you need to help everyone. Is it okay for you to say, no, I can't do it? Especially coming from our culture, because also the issue of culture comes in where it's even difficult to say no. At times you even go out to even borrow yourself to be able to assist others. For how long are we going to Tswara Tipa Kabuhaling? Because really, Tipa it's killing us. It's hurting our hands. While we are holding that knife, the knife runs deep, kills you, and so forth. That black tax, when is it going to end? Because of these nice slogans, I think we need to come to a point where at some stage, I'm not sure how possible it is, I'm just thinking aloud, if really we need to manage our finances well, I need to be assisted. Thank you. I'm done, Chair.
Okay, thanks, Refilwe. Honorable Refilwe.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you, Tinyiko, for the wonderful presentation. Yeah, I think it is much appreciated, especially the basics around personal budgeting. But what I have not picked up from your presentation is the culture of saving. I know it's a difficult space to venture in, but equally a very important regime. because, you know, during the rainy days, you can actually fall back to the little savings that you managed to put aside. And with COVID now, and many people out of employment, those who have been, you know, practicing this habit of saving, no matter how little it is, you know, it has actually came out very helpful to them. So how then can you assist us in balancing spending as well as saving? We know that in South Africa, generally, we don't have a culture of saving. And I think it's a good regimen if we could follow that. If you can assist us, Diniko, in terms of how best can we, you know, try to preserve some of our funds so that they can come in handy in terms of when there are rainy days. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll request an intervention here that Honorable Randall and Dinigo just hold on your responses. There's an emergency that is affecting the next speaker after this one. So I will then request the EAP, clinical psychologist on your mind is your capital. Then after that, then the questions will then be asked and then responses for the three. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and a very good afternoon to everybody today in what has turned out to be a slightly warmer afternoon than we had initially thought it was. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to be presenting to this dynamic team on a topic that is very close to my heart as a clinical psychologist and as a staff member of the organization that provides your employee wellness program, and that is ICAS. We've just joined your family and we hope to have a long and valuable relationship with you. I'm going to switch off my camera just so that I don't interrupt the bandwidth, and I'm happy to take some questions after this presentation. So, Dineo, I was very intrigued to hear that there was a resistance to or a negative association to some of the pictures that are used when we denote the many, many roles that women play. And I wanted to use this opportunity to use a very similar picture, but to be able to change our perception of this picture and the meaning of this picture. So the way that I use this picture when I'm talking to a group of women, or indeed to an audience that has empowerment of women's rights and their roles and responsibilities at heart, is I want you to take a moment just to acknowledge, no matter what your circumstances are, no matter what your environment is, I would like you to acknowledge the fact that as a standing woman, the many, many hats that you are wearing right now. So whatever that hat is, mother, sister, daughter, wife, friend, parent, cousin, whatever that role is, I want you to be able to acknowledge that role. And I also want you, very importantly, to be able to acknowledge the fact that right now you are doing the very best that you can in any of those roles that you're playing. So one of the main considerations is that we as women place a lot of pressure on ourselves and on each other. Who in this audience has never thought of, oh, I wish I was a better mother? Oh, I wish I was a better colleague. Oh, I wish I was a better wife or partner. So all of that self-nominated pressure is what results in us becoming quite overwhelmed by the many, many roles that we have to play. You know, the fact that we are women and we are dynamic and that we are multifaceted allows us to play elements of various roles in different circumstances. And that is when all things are equal. The minute we start putting pressure on ourselves and perhaps on others to be the perfect woman, that's when we start feeling overwhelmed. So I hope that I have been able to change some of those negative perceptions and for you to just look at this picture in a more empowering way than perhaps you would have looked at it before. Very quickly, I just wanted to talk about some stats that may be very startling for all of us in the room. Pre-pandemic, we had about 1 in 5 South Africans who suffered from a mental illness or a disorder severe enough to affect their lives significantly. That's some stats that we've got from the South African Depression and Anxiety Group. By 2030, we anticipate that more people will be affected by depression than any other health condition. We recognize that in a country and indeed a continent with unequal healthcare facilities, we also know that there is no standardized holistic treatment of mental illness at this stage. You get silos of treatment, but there isn't a standardized holistic treatment, which brings in various elements of treatment modalities that can help a person fulfill their optimal roles. Unfortunately, in South Africa, the stats are lacking, but in the USA, pre-COVID, 1 in 10 adults reported having anxiety or depressive disorders. In 2021, that shot up to 4 out of 10 people. The global economy, as we know, loses about $1 trillion per year due to mental health issues. And that's expected to rise to $16 trillion by 2030. So some startling, indeed startling stats just to be able to contextualize this pandemic that we are facing in the near future. So what is mental health? Mental health, when we look at mental health, remember I spoke about a holistic approach. The holistic approach it includes a cognitive, behavioral, and emotional welfare. It's essentially about how and what we think, feel, and how we behave. So when someone is presenting with optimal mental health, what does it look like? How do you and I know, sure, we're on the right track, that, you know, we're not veering towards the spectrum where our mental illness may be more prominent? Some of the characteristics of mental health is people really feel good about themselves. There's no judgment. There's no self-criticism. I am who I am. I take who I am for who I am. You know, really happy with yourself. We're not generally, someone is not generally overwhelmed by emotions such as fear, anger, love, jealousy, guilt, anxiety. They can establish and maintain lasting and satisfying personal relationships. As they are comfortable with themselves, so too are they comfortable with other people. Very importantly, the ability to laugh at themselves and with others, you know, to be able to share joy, to have respect for yourself, even when there are differences of opinion, of environment, of situations. As life happens, life is full of joy as it is of sorrow and disappointments. Someone with a healthy mental health status is able to accept life's disappointments, warts and all. They're able to meet life's demands and handle their problems when they arise. And very importantly, they're able to make their own decisions without worrying about judgment. And critically, they shape their environment whenever possible, and they are able to be flexible. So if an environment is one of disappointment, they're able to moderate and be flexible with regards to their responses so that they don't become overwhelmed with what is going on. On the other side of the spectrum, a mental disorder is defined, or rather to start off with, when we look at mental disorders, we are talking about a very complex set of characteristic traits. The cause of the mental disorders are multiple. So you could be depressed because of a situation. You could be depressed because of a biochemical reaction in your body. You could be depressed because of the pandemic that we're going through. The causes are multiple and complex. How I respond to a particular stressor is not the way somebody else does. And neither my response nor the other person's can be judged in a greater scheme of things. What we have to do is to say, as an individual, where does this place me? A mental disorder, like with mental health, involves biological, psychological, and social factors. And very critically, it's incredibly important for when we're looking at a mental disorder, it must be diagnosed by a mental health professional. And the reason for that is because we look at very clear evidence. It's a science. So we look at clear evidence of a persistent and pervasive pattern of symptoms. That can be a physical symptom, an emotional or cognitive symptom, and that must be taking place, or we must be noticing it most of the day, almost every day, for a significant period of time. So if you take a situation like a death, and I think death is very prominent as we're dealing with a pandemic and the repercussions of a pandemic, if people are grieving, what we say is, for a normal grieving process, people will react to the stressor, the grief, in the immediacy of it. And over time, we will notice an improvement in symptoms. So people will look better, they will feel better, they'll report feeling better. Where someone is struggling on a consistent and persistent basis, they can't get out of bed for days on end. They stop having a bath, they stop grooming themselves. And this continues for more than 2 to 4 weeks on a persistent level. That's when a professional will have to assess that symptom, as well as many other symptoms that give us a clear picture of a depressive episode. We look for symptoms that are out of proportion or in excess of what is expected, so out of the norm. If you're sleeping for more than 16 hours out of 24 hours. If you're eating more than triple your daily intake of calories. We look for evidence of suffering in marked distress. So something that causes you to be so distressed that you actually can't perform your responsibilities. You can't perform, you're unproductive at work, you're not able to focus, you're not able to meet deadlines, but that again must be persistent. And we look for evidence of impaired functioning and or a poor ability to function in life. So again, this is something that we have to look for on a persistent basis. It must interrupt all of our normal behaviors, and a clinical psychologist, a psychiatrist, a clinical social worker is able to provide that diagnosis and refer and treat you for it. So some of the more common symptoms that we look for, these are not exclusive, and be very careful of making snap judgments with these symptoms. They're merely a guideline and need to be considered in context or the larger picture. So sometimes or often feeling sad or down. So not sometimes, because we all feel sad or down sometimes, but if we're always feeling sad or down and there isn't really a trigger, then we need to look for external support. People will often report that they've withdrawn from family, friends, colleagues, low energy, reports of low energy. So I can't really exercise anymore. I don't want to go to the gym anymore. I don't even want to take a walk around the block anymore. I experience mood swings. So sometimes I get up and I'm absolutely fine. And the next 10 minutes, I'm feeling absolutely devastated. As I referred to earlier, people stop looking after themselves, they stop grooming, there's bad hygiene or there's poor attention to hygiene. Some people will be able to vocalize how they're feeling, so they'd be able to talk about how they're feeling. For a large population, and particularly with a vulnerable group like teens or adolescents, they often struggle to vocalize how they're feeling. We look for changing in eating habits, sleeping habits, any of the bodily functions. There's excessive anger. excessive irritability and excessive hostility. So remember my previous slide, these are pervasive symptoms that we're looking for. So not just that I'm getting angry because it's load shedding again, but there's an unrealistic or an irrational response to something that seems out of character. And very importantly, in the workplace, it's an inability to concentrate or perform duties. So the first tip for managing mental health is to be able to recognize and acknowledge, like I said in the first slide, where I'm not coping and where this is becoming too much for me. Where I'm noticing that there's a pervasive nature of the symptoms and there's a persistent nature of the symptoms, I need to reach out and I need to speak to somebody to say, hold on, it's okay not to be okay, going back to our previous speaker. So I really need some help. Is there someone who can help me? When we're looking at managing our mental health and sustaining our mental health, we've got some guidelines, and these are not exhaustive. It's very useful, particularly with the pandemic, in light of the pandemic and working from home. Stick to a daily routine. Get up in the morning, you have your shower, you have your breakfast, you set your daily tasks, you achieve your daily tasks, and that you end your working day at a particular time. Keep in contact with your loved ones, friends, colleagues. You know, with the pandemic and with social distancing or physical distancing, we need to be able to remember that we are human beings, and human beings thrive on personal connectivity and communication. So continue with those initiatives, because it makes us feel like we belong. And belonging is a very critical element of the human spirit. We need to belong to be able to thrive. Find techniques, including relaxation techniques, that work for you, even if it's just for a walk. And like anything else, if you make an intention to do something, just do it. And I'm not stealing from Nike's slogan, but just do it. Because when we commit to something and we do it and we achieve the outcomes that we have expected, we feel better about ourselves. Practice self-care every day by putting aside a little time for yourself. You know, with the work from home, people are struggling. People are struggling to be able to say, this is my work time, this is my home time. And yet, we have added 10, 20, 30 more responsibilities on our shoulders. Something that works very, very well is to set a deadline to your day, is to be able to get up from your workspace, whether you've set it up in a quiet area in your home, to be able to shut down and literally physically remove yourself from that space. Keep your laptop out of sight, out of mind. Make sure that when you engage in your domestic life, whether it's with family, whether it's on your own, whether it's with a partner, that you are fully engaged in that. And mindfulness is a critical component of how we practice self-care, because mindfulness means that when I'm doing something, I'm only doing that. So right now, when you're listening to my presentation, I really hope that you're only listening to my presentation and not trying to complete an email or respond to an email or check your children's homework. Mindfulness is what brings our attention and our focus to what we're doing right now so that I can do it really, really well. Multitasking is not always the best thing because we do a little bit of many things, but if we practice mindfulness in its proper way, we are able to say, I've had 10 things on my to-do list. I focused on each thing on my list independently, and at the end of the day, I've been able to achieve 6 of those 10. Be kind to yourself. You are doing the best you can, and this is new to us all. Listen to what your internal narrative is saying. Listen to when you haven't completed something, what you're telling yourself, and change that negative languaging. Change the negative language in your home so that you are talking about positive things, you are talking about optimistic things, while still be very realistic about what is going on. Some people have thrived through lockdown because they've been able to change the internal narrative to say, this is temporary and this too shall pass. Limit exposure to social media and the news, as it can make you feel very overwhelmed. I often encourage clients to do it, check it in the morning and check it at 6 o'clock. Don't go to bed with the news on. Don't go to bed listening to the latest violence in Afghanistan. Don't go to bed listening to the latest violence on the Cape Flats. So just try and manage your exposure to social media as well as the news so that you give yourself the best possible opportunity to be able to be as relaxed as you can. Manage boundaries between work and personal time, and I've spoken a little bit about that. If you are struggling to manage anxieties about the unknown, just document a plan. So none of us knew what Corona or COVID-19 looked like at the beginning, and we were inundated with information. And for a short while, all I wanted to do was get information, because my personality is that if I have information, I'm armed to be able to develop a plan. And right now, the threat has minimized because my plan is that I can control certain elements, and that I can't control, I have to give over to. Very importantly, be flexible. And this is a learned skill. It's not something that we innately are born with. Being flexible means that if things don't run according to plan, it's okay. I was due to present at a certain time, but the agenda got a little bit extended. That's okay. Triage what life is throwing your way. Not everything is urgent and important all at once. Very importantly, when something comes in, you put it in a little category. Is this important? Is it urgent? Or do I just want to have 10 emails that I'm going to have to respond to because I think they're all important and urgent? Set realistic goals, and very importantly, reach out for when you need to. This is just a very quick breathing exercise that I thought was very helpful. You can visit the website for more information on breath work, and there's a lovely free beginner session in the Breath Cafe, and it's literally just about finding a very relaxed space for yourself, breathing in very deeply through your nose, slowly counting to 3. So, as you teach young children, you say 1001, 1002, 1003. When you are doing it, visualize in your mind something that is relaxing, something that is containing, something that is filled with light. Feel your belly full with air. Imagine that peaceful, calm air spreading right through your body. Hold it for a second before breathing out slowly, counting to 3 again. And as you exhaling, just imagine the tension being released. I wish I had time to take you through that exercise, but I also think it's very important just to be able to say that I've listened to a few of the speakers, critical components coming out, stress, anxiety, financial issues, relationship issues will come out. That is what your employee wellness program is there for. We offer 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, personal support line where you get through to a professional counselor that you can speak about any of your problems, or just something that's bothering you, or something that you feel you can't speak to someone about. It's all confidential. We only will break confidentiality if there's a threat to someone, if there's a threat or harm to someone, if there's a threat to the elder or to children, and if there's a risk to the organization. It's completely free to you and your dependents. You are dialing into a toll-free number that even from your cell phone, you're not charged for that phone call. It's offered it's multilingual, so you can call in and speak to a counselor or request a counselor in any of the official language, and it is for you and your immediate family. Okay, it helps us cope with stress, depression, anxiety, adapting to change. It's dedicated to ensuring that your health and well-being in the workplace and at home are well taken care of. What we want to do is, the old consideration of work-life balance, it's quite outdated. Now we talk about a work-life integration, because we know that one does filter into the other. And your employee wellness program can help you. Speaking to a counselor can help you understand how you can be optimal in either or all of the various roles that you play. As I mentioned, we offer counseling services, managerial support, under life management services. We offer legal and financial support. We looked through that example of the budget. Fantastic idea. What we need to do is to get people to commit to keeping that budget, to be honest as they can, and to be as realistic as they can. We've got financial consultants that can help you with a range of financial issues, from debt management all the way to savings, all the way to budgeting. And we've got a team of financial specialists that are well versed in issues like black tax, like the guilt around black tax, the obligations around black tax, which I was happy to hear, the acknowledgement that it happens in almost all the cultures in South Africa. Perhaps it's the South African culture that we're talking about. Just in terms of the face-to-face counseling, so if you've got a problem or you've got an issue, you can call in for counseling. If you require what we traditionally call face-to-face counseling, you can opt to have those counseling sessions from the comfort of your home while you're working from home. The virtual therapy is not in any way a distilled form of the face-to-face, the traditional face-to-face therapy. In fact, it enhances the experience for the individual because it is in the space and in the comfort of your own home. You don't have to travel. It's flexible in terms of your work arrangements. It's very, very effective in drawing your attention to what is my current situation at the moment, what is causing me a stress at the moment, and how do I implement goals and tools to be able to achieve the outcomes that I've set. Okay, as I said, it's confidential unless there's a risk to self, risk to others, damage to property or crime, or suspected child or old age abuse. I know I've run through that very quickly, but in the small time that I've had, I hope that has been valuable for you and your colleagues. I'm happy to take any questions if there are.
Thank you very much. Let's have questions on this one. I'll take two. And then after she would have responded, then I go back to the answers of Tinigo, Honorable Randall, and the third one. This one, okay. Any hand? Three, 2, 1, 0. I don't see any hand. So let me go back to Honorable Randall. The questions posed to you.
Madam Chairperson, I'm not sure, was that the one from Tiniku, or can I just be reminded again?
I thought you wrote them, didn't write them on my side.
No, ma'am, I didn't write anything.
From my side, sorry, it was just a comment. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much. Mr. Nigo.
Thanks, Chair. Just first talk to the question that Dinero asked. It's very true that there are people out there who are actually going to rip you off. So it's best to firstly go to your bank and ask them for a consolidation and to negotiate your rates. Also, another thing that you can do is actually go to those institutions that you owe money to, and also ask them if they can negotiate your terms. So if you owe Edgar's and you're struggling to pay them, do not wait until you're defaulting like month after month, but to actually approach them and tell them, this is my situation and can we make arrangements. So those are the two ways that I think it's best that you can actually deal with your debt. The issue that was raised regarding black tax on how long are we going to be able to, how long are we going to have this? That is a very difficult question to answer. Until we're fully financially emancipated, unfortunately, I think this is going to be something that we continue to have. And this is something that varies from person to person as well as families. And as I indicated previously, that it's very important that we have those conversations and discussions with our families. And also look at, is this pressure that is self-imposed or is it something that is external? I want to make an example with some of my friends. I mean, she has made it, and she wants to actually now support her family and make sure they're educated so they can have opportunities. But then you find her like behind closed doors, she's crying, indicating that she's overwhelmed, it's too much. And a way that she's decided, like moving forward, how she's going to help is to say, my niece is in matric, I'm going to help her with the registration fees. I'm going to help her with the issues of applying for NEFSAs. However, I'm not going to be paying her fees because I cannot do that. But this is a way that I'll be able to help. So I'm still assisting, but I'm assisting in a manner that I'm able to assist. So that is something that people need to look at. Unfortunately, whether you can say no, it's a bit difficult because now if you say yes to supporting everything, you're also going to get yourself in debt and actually undoing the successes that you have achieved. And in terms of savings, I think most of us, when we think about savings, we're looking at a big amount, like, okay, I need to put aside 1,000 Rand. And I think we need to allow ourselves to say anything that you put aside is actually a good start. Even if it means 100 Rand every month you're putting into a savings account, it's better than not having anything. And if you're financially disciplined, you can set up a debit order that now takes that 100 Rand to your savings account and you do not touch it. At least now you're starting. And then as you properly manage your finances, you may be able to like now afford to put more money aside as savings. So I think we need to start small and not undermine that to say, okay, you're only saving 100 Rand, but to really approach yourself, say, at least I've started with the savings process. I'm not sure if I fully responded to all the questions. Chair, you will direct me.
Honorable Nkosi, do you want to say something about savings? Okay, none. I think the other thing is that it is better said than done, that you can say, I don't have any cent. I once had a case in Satu, a comrade that was complaining about her mom, that every month after being paid, she gives her the money. But after a week, she'll come back to her. And she was saying to me, Pinky, I just want to kill myself because this pressure, I can't bear it anymore. Okay, thank you very much. Let us then have let us have a presentation from your body from Silo Mukanyane, that will talk about your body needs you to cooperate. Use it to work for you.
Apologies.
Are you with us?
Apologies, Chair. I hope we have not forgotten Dr. Sasana.
Oh. Dr. Sasana, are you back? Doctor? You know what? Just check on her.
All right, Chair, will do.
Okay, let us then get let's get Silo Mukanyane. You'll be followed by the doctor if she's back.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair. First and foremost, I'd like to recognize Kamala Mankosakazi, Malibongwe.
Can we see your face? Can you see your face?
Malibongwe.
Malibongwe. Chairperson, I'm sorry, I can't put my face now. My data is very small. It will cut me loose and then I'll lose you for good. But I can easily describe myself. I'm a cross between Denzel Washington and Will Smith. That's how I look. Thank you very much. All protocol is observed. The topic for today from me, it's back to basics. We're talking health, we're talking fitness. Can you hear me? Can somebody say hi?
Hi.
We hear you. We hear
Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you, Dad. Thank you. So I would like to say to all of us, let's go back to basics. What are the basics? Let's look at health and fitness. Let's try to break it down. When we talk of health, what are we talking about? We're talking about the organs, the brain, the heart, the lungs, the kidney, the pancreas. If all those organs are working and they're working well, then you are healthy. When we talk of fitness, we're talking activity, we're talking if you're able to do your job or your task and complete it without any problem, then you are fit. So let's go back to health. To make sure that the organs are working and are working well, we need to do certain things, a couple of them. One, let's start by detoxing. Let's detox our bodies to keep them from stress and toxics. A simple way of detoxing, it's eating healthy. What are we looking at when we detox? We're talking fruits, talking vegetables. If you make a vegetable soup, it will help cleanse the body, it will flush down. If we take a fruit salad, which consists of 5 different fruit, and when I say 5, I say 5 different, I'm not talking apple, green, yellow, and red. It's still apple, it's still one. So the body doesn't need that. It needs 5 different to help cleanse. Let's drink enough water, the herbal teas. Let's put gym into our lives. We start small by exercising. You choose different kinds of exercises. The most important thing is to warm up by walking or simple stretch. But walking is the best because it will elevate your heart rate and it will lubricate your joints and warm up your muscles to be able to do whatever task you're going to do. When you exercise, you need to play safe. Don't exert yourself too much because your heart is in line. And we always advise people to start the exercise program by checking with the doctor if you're okay, because if one of your organs is not healthy, for instance, if your heart, you've got a heart problem, and there you are going to walk long distance or running or cycling, you might push it so much that you'll have a heart attack and die. So let's check our health conditions before. Don't take this thing for granted. You got medical aid. You got to do your checkup at least once after 6 months. You got to know where your heart is. You got to know how high is your cholesterol, how poor is circulation. We're dealing with COVID now. If you don't have a good circulation, that oxygen not going to go to your lungs. If your lungs are not healthy and fit, that's when COVID takes people, because they say it attacks the heart that you can't breathe. So when you exercise, you're actually exercising the heart and the lungs. I'll give an example. If you walk upstairs, the stairs, or you're running uphill, you'll feel your chest becomes very heavy. You start breathing very shallow. It's quite heavy. One doctor said that is how you feel when COVID attacks your lungs. But if you exercise, your lungs get stronger. They're able to push through the same way that you push and breathe in when you climb a mountain, when you're hiking, when you run on the hill, when you're cycling on the hill. So it's very important to do a cardiovascular exercises that includes walking, running, cycling, even swimming. You got to strengthen your muscles. As you grow older, your muscles become weaker and weaker. The two muscles on your back, we call them rhomboids. They're the one that helps you to be upright. If you don't exercise, your back becomes weaker. Then you start bending, like gravity is pulling you very fast. Your thighs, your legs, your calves, if you don't exercise, if you drive 5 minutes to go buy bread and you don't never walk, your quadriceps will become weak. Your quadriceps are your thighs, are your muscles on your thighs, therefore we call them quads. If they're not strong, you won't be able to get up. If your quadriceps are not strong, when you sit down, you negotiate. When you stand up, you negotiate. You don't just sit, you don't just get up straight. It's difficult. So exercise is very important. Exercise helps the body to reduce stress. Exercise helps the body to get a better and a good frame. So imagine when your exercise helps you to look good and your organs are all functioning. That's when we say a person is healthy and is fit and is beautiful from inside. You cannot be beautiful from inside when your liver is not working. You got to control your weight by eating right. And eating right, you can only do it right when you talk to a dietitian. A professional dietitian, they'll sit down, they'll monitor what you're eating. Some, they even go further and draw your blood, take it and check what you have more, what you have less, and then the plan of a diet comes from there, not from your friend that says just eat a green apple and water, that will be fine. You'll lose your 5 kgs. Maybe you're losing 5 kgs in water and muscle, not fat. Then you start dropping 3 kgs from your body. Then you got this body fat that is hanging there. You just don't know what to do. So it's very important to talk to the dietitian to give you a guidelines. There's a lot of food. There's a lot of good food and bad food. We cannot decide. We want what we like. We like what we eat. So let's change. Let's eat very healthy, but get a dietitian. And when you go healthy food, introduce it for the whole family. Not for you only because you want to go to the beach by December. And then while you're there, you start eating the pizzas and the McDonald's and all these things, and you overdo them. Teach your children to eat very healthy. Lead by example. Don't have 2 pots. This one is for Ubaba, and this one is for you. You cannot afford to eat all the wrong things, and then you're sitting with a jar that's full of water and cucumber and lemon and strawberry. It doesn't work. Eat very healthy. Drink your water enough. Check your urine. If it's too yellow, too orange, smelly, and hot, it means your kidney is not flushing the acid. So drink water to flush the acid. People tend not to drink water. They're saying, you have to flush that acid that is too much in your body. The skin becomes better and healthy because you're eating green vegetables with vitamin E and you're drinking enough water to flush. It's not a cream that you apply on top. It's how you detox your body. And choosing your exercises, you still have to check your strength and your weaknesses. If you're not a runner, don't just go out and go run. At least go walk. It's natural. For instance, if you walk 30 minutes down the road in your area, which is more safer, safer in a sense that if anything happens to you, you can get help. If you can collapse, somebody will help you. Unlike walking and running far from home and you're not healthy and you're alone, and then you collapse and people drive past because they don't want to get involved. Play safe. If you are a runner, start slowly. I'll give an example. An average person runs 10 to 12 minutes a kilometer. Only professionals do that in 2.5 to 3. That's why they could run a marathon. When you talk marathon, we're talking 42 Ks. Those guys that can only do it in 2 hours. An ordinary person will run 6 to 6.5 or 7 or not even finish the 42. So don't be a hero out there. Some people grew up in sports. Some people live in sports. You may like their bodies, you want to be like them, then you say in 2 weeks, there's nothing like 2 weeks when you have accumulated that unwanted fat in 14, 15, 30 years. It's very important to be clever and be steady on what you're doing. Other important part is choose the right gear for the right sport. Don't overdress when you go run or walk, because your body generates heat. And then you're walking at 26 degrees Celsius, you will faint. So have the light material and appropriate. Sometimes you look at these big brands, there's a reason why all of them, they're so expensive. I'll give an example. A running t-shirt, we pay up to $1,799.89. You know what does it do? The heat doesn't come through. Because of those colors, they reflect the sun rays. That's why you see us running in neon green, neon blue, orange, yellow. That's the reason why it reflects the sun rays. And as you run or as you walk, when your body generates a lot of heat, before you start sweating, it helps you to release that heat and keeps you cool. And some of them, most of them, or all of them, they do have reflectors. And those colors are reflectors because a motorist can see you miles and miles away. So it's important to choose the right gear. Coming to shoes, if you're walking, you got to use the trail shoes because the surface there is not smooth. You got the rocks, you got the holes. If you sprain your ankle on the mountain or on a walking trail, you're gonna hit the ground with your knee. You'll break between your knee and your hip. That femur bone will go, bah. And you're out in the bundles. You don't have medical assistance. Maybe even the phone doesn't catch the network. So it's important to keep small groups, never do these things alone for safety. Same applies to running. If you run, you've got to use a proper running shoes. And what is a proper running shoes is not just the brands Nike, Adidas, Asics. We buy shoes according to your foot landing. Some people have flat foot. Some people got a deep arch. Some people land on the side, on the outer side. Some people land on the inner side. So if you look at your shoes, if you look at your children's shoes, don't hustle them saying the mosaic tuli. That's how they walk. That's how they land. So you go to buy, take them to your foot specialist to cut the right design for your inner soles. You don't look at me wearing an S6 blue, then you said, I love the green one. Don't buy shoes from takealot.com because you like the color. At least go to Total Sport or Sportsman Warehouse, let them do the assessment on your foot. Those injuries, the internal, you limp for the rest of your life because that thing is not going to get right. So it's very important to play safe. Let's get fit, let's get healthy, let's put our families into fitness and wellness. Thank you very much, ladies. Any
Thank
question?
you very much for
Thank you.
the good
Thanks so-
presentation and the advice. You
Thank
can
you.
even dance if you can't go out because it's cold.
True.
Can we have any person that wants to say something?
It's me, Chair.
Okay, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Coach. I just want to complain. I just want to complain that our gym is closed.
Okay. Speaker, you can go walk in the street. You can go walk in the street. You can do exercises at home.
I
This is
tried
why
to
sometimes
and I fell and my granddaughter laughed at me, so it doesn't work. I need a coach.
No. Okay, we can do one-on-one. Talk to.
What it means, Coach, you are not submitting your needs to either CFO or secretary.
We still,
So that
we
it becomes relevant.
We're still playing safe with the COVID thing. I'll give an example. Our gym doesn't have windows. And one of the things that we need is fresh air when you do exercise. You can imagine when you've got 15, 12 people in there, they're cycling, they're running, they're walking, and the air is not very clean. So at the moment, Speaker, when you're at the legislature, please walk, take the stairs to the 4th floor and go back. If you can do that 3 times, Speaker, I'm telling you, you'll be super fit in a week and you would have lost and firm the bodies like nobody's business. Keep it basic. When you're not at, if you've got leisure, take your granddaughter, go to the park, go walk with them. You know, they run, they never stop. They'll make you walk, they'll make you work. You know, in the mall, an average person walks an hour unaware, going from one shop to another, fitting the shoes there, fitting the skates, and putting them back and go to there and go back to the shop. We walk an hour unaware. If you can monitor your fitness watch, you'll see how many steps you can do. You can do 6,000 steps within 45 minutes in the mall. So take advantage of that. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. But you didn't say anything about also you using the herbs and rather than not every day go to the doctor and you get the tablets.
Okay.
Let us then go to the Honorable Speaker.
Okay, thank you.
Apologies, Honorable Chair. Apologies, Honorable Speaker.
Just a minute. Just a minute. Is the doctor back?
Yes, she is, Chair.
Okay, Honorable Speaker can hold. Doctor? Dela, where are you?
Kazi, are you able to advise?
Sorry to know and greetings. She says it keeps on kicking her out. I think it's just the network is not helping.
Okay, we will have her on another. I see a hand, I don't know whose hand. It's an old hand. Okay, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Chair. You know, after this valuable information that was shared in this platform today, I feel like not talking because I will spoil everything. But because you direct me to do so, let me try, and I hope I won't spoil Dineo, because you and the chair, you wanted me to speak today. But let me take this opportunity to greet everyone, especially the chair of the session, the presiding officers, members of the provincial legislature, our speakers for the day, the women of Gauteng, and our staff members. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak on this occasion where we mark 65 years since that iconic march to the Union buildings, which saw the brave women of our country take a stand against the country's past laws. As we celebrate Women's Month, we honor, remember, and salute all women from all generations who have been part of our struggle and have made significant contributions for our nation's freedom, democracy, and development. As the women of today, I want to pose a question. What are you doing? When are you sending the lift down to lift others up? We commemorate this important month under the theme, I quote, the year of Charlotte Manya Maxeke, realizing women's rights in recognition of the 150th birthday anniversary of May Charlotte. Ma Maxeke and other forebearers of our liberation struggle made an invaluable contribution that led to democratic dispensation in our country. Working with other leaders, Mayor Maxeke established the African Methodist Episcopal, which is called AME Church, and she led the first march against the past laws in 1913. So the first march was in 1913 and not in 1956. As we celebrate Women's Month, we are not oblivious to the many challenges facing women of our country at all levels. It is during this month that as women, we should take some time to introspect and reflect on all challenges we face. There are many such as the scourge of violence against women, poverty, unemployment, exploitation of women. I think in the exploitation, I feel like at times the black tax is part of the exploitation, because when you give, people take advantage of you. Human trafficking and many others in our society, in our families, and in the within the workplace. The world needs virtuous women, women who are powerful in mind, body, and spirit, to stand for what is just, good, and morally ethical, to take our world to greater heights. We need to understand that being a woman of virtue comes with a lot of responsibilities. I think most of you have already mentioned some. And firstly, how you behave as a woman in your family, church, and society, and the workplace. You know, when I talk about the women in church, I normally laughed at my aunt who, when she sees father, who's the reverend in the church, the way she runs, but when she's at home, she will tell you about, but when the father is there in the church, she runs like a small child. A woman of virtue is expected to behave with high moral standards and making good use of every opportunity presented to her. As a woman, once you are up there, you need to send the lift down for other women to climb. It can't be you alone up there, particularly the young ones, as they require a helping hand to climb the corporate or a career of choice in either the private, public sector or in politics. But let us also not forget other women of age or elderly women, because they never had these opportunities that are created now by the current government. I know that the narrative today is that all those that are older must go home and stay. We tend to forget that those missed opportunities because of the previous regime or previous laws of apartheid. We still need to ensure that, because some of them still fend for their children and fend for their families, therefore we must not forget that they also need empowerment in their own right. Young women need coaches and mentors who will assist them by taking them through a rigorous transformation process that will mold them to be courageous women. Women who are enthusiastic and those who have the willpower to learn and to take leadership roles in their organizations, churches, community associations, and any other platforms that require leaders. Gone are the days of patriarchal system where men were the only people allowed to work or participate in economic activities. In fact, I had a session with some families immediately after the sitting today, and I was told that some of the family members are saying, let's sell the house, or a male figure must occupy this house because you are going to get married and the husband will take the house. But who says when men get married, when the man passes on, the family of the woman that has married that man will not take the house? So at times it's the gender stereotypes that are often portrayed to women. Sending a lift down for other women to climb means providing economic and social means to transform our world, our country, our province, through empowerment initiatives and resources available. No one is born with experience. Women who occupy leadership roles today were at some stage given an opportunity by others, or they fought for themselves to be where they are, or they were lifted up. Women of virtue empower others when they find someone with the right attitude, who is teachable, who is disciplined, who is determined, and who wants to grow. They must create opportunities for them to be better selves and to contribute in the ever-changing world. Everyone has a first time for something. Think of the first in your own career. Maybe you were given an opportunity to lead a team despite never having managed a project before. Who did you turn to for insight, to bounce ideas off, or to learn some tips and tricks? You turn to people who walked the journey before you, irrespective of whether those people were men or women. As a woman leader, you become a coach and a mentor once you are up there. You listen to others and you assist them to find solutions in their personal and workplace lives. There are many challenges facing women in leadership positions, including misconception that only males make effective leaders. There are stereotypes and misconceptions that, if left unchecked and unaddressed, prevent women from gaining leadership positions or can affect the way followers perceive a woman as a leader. I know that at sometimes you'll find that in our space, men will talk, I'm sorry to say this word, nonsense, but people will clap hands for them. But when a woman say the same thing, we will say, or we even laugh when that woman say the same thing. Despite the widespread push by our country to achieve gender equality and awareness of sexism, it has become difficult for women to obtain and be respected in leadership positions, especially when they are just starting to climb the lift. I want to also share my own personal experience. I started as a youth or student leader in the early, when I was still about 16, 17. I went into the youth movement and mother body of my organization, the Women's League as well. And during that process, I remember when I was about to write my exams in 1983, I got arrested. I could not write my exams. But for the next 5 years, I tried to enroll for my matric. Lucky for me, because I had support of my mom. It's not all of us that have that support. When my mom will say, you'll come back from detention, you'll say, go back to school. I don't have a girl child that will stay at home and not do anything. So that has actually assisted me to be able to, after 5 years, write my matric and be able to do other courses that might have contributed to who I am, but also the support, going in and out of prison. When your brothers are staying at home, maybe they will be detained even lesser than you and even charged for further games of the pen movement. But the support that I got, even not only from my mom, my neighbors, my comrades and friends, I was lucky enough. It's not everybody that is not have that support. It's not everybody that is lucky enough. There's no support for others. Others, there might be support, but there are no resources for them to climb that lift. My personal advice to women in this platform is that start now if you haven't started. Start to set your personal and career goals, either short or long term. Work hard each day to achieve those goals. A simple act of crossing off items on your to-do list is a blissful feeling. When in leadership position, remain calm, fearless, demonstrate integrity, communicate effectively, make tough decisions, recognize success, motivate and empower others. Share your vision and create opportunities for other women to lead, especially with those people that matter, those people that might want to help you to succeed. In doing so, you will regain self-awareness, your own power and virtuous women's stature. Let us work together as the legislative sector, members of the legislature, and our support staff, civil society, and the private sector to ensure the full implementation of the National Strategic Plan on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide that is crippling our country and in particular our province. Let us lead the way to ensure a just and equal society that the women who marched in 1913 and 1956 fought for. Working together, will overcome COVID-19 and gender-based violence and femicide. We must work together for gender parity and realize generation equality in our lifetime. Have a safe and wonderful Women's Month. Malibongwe. Thank you, Chair.
Malibongwe.
Malibongwe.
Wathinta abafazi.
Athinta imbokodo.
Basofa.
Zakufa.
Any person that wants to say something on what the other speaker has said? 3, 2, 1, 0. Dineo, is the doctor back?
Thank you, Chair. No, unfortunately, she really is struggling with connectivity. So what we've decided is that, we'll try to have her at another time at a different platform. Thank you, Chair.
Well, thank you very much. The last one is the closing remarks from Honorable Kekana.
Thank you very much, Program Director, Honorable Nube. Let me take the opportunity to greet all of you. I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me and see me?
Yes.
Can hear you. Chance.
And see me?
No.
Okay. See your picture?
All right. Sorry, yeah, I think the gadget is disadvantaging me. I've got my camera on though. But anyway, let me take the opportunity to greet all of you here, the Honorable Speaker Ntombi Mekwe, the Deputy Chief Whip, Honorable Togoma Gagula, Chair of Committees, Honorable Sizakele Nkosi Malubani, Honorable members of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, the Secretary to the Legislature, Mr. Peter Skosana, distinguished and hardworking public officials in your eminence, ladies and all the loving gentlemen in our midst. Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to deliver the closing remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, this has indeed been a great session, one of its kind, I must admit, and of course, very empowering to all of us. We had a great opportunity to interact with one another like we have never interacted before as a collective of women in this institution. We have also collectively acquired valuable information on how, as women, we should put ourselves first, take care of ourselves and those that we love, as well as how to manage our interpersonal work and social relations. We've also learned how to manage and deal with chronic illnesses ranging from mental, physical, and behavioral problems. Indeed, COVID-19 pandemic and the continuous lockdown in their varying degrees continue to have a sharp impact on women on a variety of ways. And you will all be aware that since lockdown, incidences of GBV escalated to unprecedented proportions. The financial, emotional, and physical strain on women has also taken its toll. And the facilitator, Honorable Nube, has touched on this. As a Multi-party Women Caucus, we are glad that this virtual program managed to reach out to all the women in GPL across the political and administration lines. After all, we are all women, faced with similar challenges irrespective of our different roles. the different roles we play in this great institution, which is largely shaped by ourselves, be it as functionaries or in our various supportive roles. I would therefore like to take an opportunity to thank our facilitators, Honorable Ngube, for ably directing this program. Your patience and wit is truly outstanding, Honorable Ngube. You really steered this ship very well. Honorable Magagula, our Deputy Chief Whip and Chairperson of the Multi-party Women Caucus in the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, thank you for your humble, open, and transparent leadership, your foresight, and a genuine love for the women in this institution does not go unnoticed. Thank you for the opportunity and the platform afforded to all of us to engage in the manner in which we have. Let me also take the opportunity to thank all the progressive women who took us through the most stimulating topics, quality discussions which promotes emotional strength and intelligence, and also managed to put us in a space where we were all able to do some self-reflection as well as experience some deeper appreciation of the environment we and other women in society find ourselves in. We also had an opportunity to reflect on the grief and the loss we experienced during COVID-19 pandemic. And as the Deputy Chief Whip has indicated, we have quite a number of officials, including former members of this House, and recently a member of this Multi-party Women Caucus, Honorable Lasindwa, who have left us. Death has indeed robbed us of these fearless women who would otherwise have been here with us engaging very robustly. They will forever be missed, and may their souls rest in eternal peace. Our Honorable Speaker Ntombi Mikwe, in the spirit of Mama Charlotte Makweke, Member Sizakele Nkosi Malubane, the Chairperson of Committees in GPL, Pastor Fezeka, responsible for Feeding Our Soul, Dr. Daisy, the 2020 Vita Awards winner. Thank you for sharing your personal journey with us. I know that you got cut off, but the little snippets that we had, I think, it has actually stimulated our minds. And we have recently seen how girls as young as 10 years old are falling pregnant. And what you referred to in terms of the sexual abuse you suffered in the hands of trusted male adults in your space is probably also what these young girls are also going through. And as mothers, it is important, and it's something that we really need to guard against. Honorable Randall, our finance guru in the legislature, yes, it's okay not to be okay. We are only human, and no one should pass judgment on us. A powerful message indeed, and I think we will take that forward. Tenyeko Baloi, our capable budget officer in GPL, thank you for taking us through the basics of personal budgeting, which is the bedrock of financial independence, especially for us women who sometimes are tempted to be unnecessarily extravagant, but at the same time, we should be able to reward ourselves, no matter how little we can, because if we don't, probably no one else will afford us that reward. Dr. Naidu in absentia, I know you had to attend to other meetings. Our EAP clinical psychologist, thank you for highlighting issues related to mental illness, depression, anxiety, which sometimes leads to substance abuse, a growing concern amongst women in this country. Most women suffer in silence due to this pandemic, as you termed it, the pandemic of depression. We should reach out, ladies, and seek help, because indeed help is available out there, and we are fortunate enough as members of this legislature and officials, because the legislature does provide this service, and we should utilize it for the benefit of our children and our families. Thank you for giving us valuable tips for living a balanced life, and most importantly, techniques on how to combat stress and apply
relaxation techniques as you outlined. Thank you to Mr. Sello Mokonyane, our Denzel/Will Smith, our physical coach in the GPL. We really can't wait to get back to the legislature to interact with you. And working from home has done a lot of damage to most of our waistlines, you know. And we really look forward to physically interacting with you. Detoxing is key. You're correct. Thank you for reminding us to eat healthily. Summer is here again, and we should get into some exercise regime, at least taking walks around the block. Thank you so much for reminding us about that. And finally, to Madam Speaker, thank you for your sterling leadership in this legislature. You are hardworking and exemplary. You are a real source of inspiration to all of us as women in the legislature. And for that, we say thank you very much. And thank you for reminding us to take others along with us as we grow in this journey of life. And to all the organizers of this event, Ausdineo and the team, thank you for the hard work behind the scenes. You ensured that this wonderful program is indeed a success, and thank you for making it happen. Your contribution, your hard work and dedication to the work of the Multi-party Women Caucus does not go unnoticed. I think you really take your work very seriously, and you are appreciated. And as I conclude, I would want to leave you with a powerful message from Mani Makinja, a renowned IT professional who is also a food and health enthusiast. And she had the following to say, and I quote, "Being a woman should be your supreme achievement and not your deepest fear. Celebrate womanhood. Fuel yourself with self-confidence and let that fuel empower you to soar towards your dreams." Close quote. On that note, ladies and a few gentlemen that are with us, I wish to thank you very much. To all the women, I wish you a very happy Women's Month, at least the little bit that is left of it. And have a great year ahead, and continue to take care of yourselves. And please go get that jab if you haven't as yet done so. Thank you very much, Program Director.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kekana. That was very good. Once you start avoiding people, wanting to be alone, losing temper, you must know that depression is now handling you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. The session stands adjourned. Stay safe.
Thank you so much, Chairperson.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, all of you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Madam Raf, I miss you.